Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the MakeCode Arcade Advanced stream. I'm Shannon, I'm Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Daryl at Darzoo on the forums.
I'm Joey at jwanderl on the forums.
Richard on the forums and in real life.
Oh, I'm Vivian at Live Cheerful on the forum.
So many faces today, guys.
Yeah, full house.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. So if you've joined us for the other two streams this week, we're doing another theme, sort of vaguely. Everyone's designing a weapon or, some form of like projectile attack for each stream this week. So today, I thought I would do like a launched explosion. So you can think of it like, a water balloon or I don't know if other people have other examples. A paint bomb.
Yeah, all sorts of things.
So the idea is it'll be in a platformer sort of setting. So you've seen us do this before. I'm going to make a player, I'm going to set a tile map, and I'm going to add some gravity to this player.
So what are the kind of, while Shannon is doing the platformer code, what are the kind of like prime characteristics of this type of thing? I mean, the first one that comes to mind is that it arcs instead of going straight.
Yeah.
It has gravity.
Mm-hmm. And then some sort of splash area.
Right.
Where
so instead of just hitting,
and it's not just, yeah.
Instead of just hitting one sprite, it hits an area around the things. That'll be fun, especially if it's a circle. That's gonna be fun to code.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on doing a square.
Okay.
But we could try circle. So I'm setting gravity.
We write that distance formula again.
So this is all of the platformer code. Camera follows the player. On A button pressed, I'm going to set the velocity on the player to have them jump. Y to, let's see.
That's going to be a high jump.
We're correct. I'm just going to increase gravity.
This is, I would say, the heaviest platformer we've done. It's kind of cool, though.
I like it when it's like, a little zippy.
Mm-hmm.
And move the player with buttons, but only in the X direction because we're using our jump. Oh, I totally can get here.
You got it perfect.
Wow, you like perfectly calculated that.
And then the other thing is to prevent this double jump. So right now, if I jump and jump again midair, I just keep going up. We're going to add a check to see if the player is currently touching the wall on the bottom. Oops. All right. So first things first, I guess I'm going to launch a projectile on B button pressed. And for now, I'm going to do it at a fixed angle. I think we'll probably need some sort of aiming mechanic, but I'll do that after. So going to sprites, down here we have projectile from my sprite. So this will create a projectile from my current player position. And I'm going to do it with VX 50, VY 50.
Sure. Oops. Yeah. So a 45-degree angle, since it's the same.
Yeah, like in that direction.
This actually, the way that you said that, though, makes me think that this is also probably a pretty good stream for people who want to make like a tank-style game. So those classic games where you have a tank on one side and the other player on another side, and you take, shots where you have to aim back and forth to each other.
Cool. So right now this, it creates a projectile. The projectile keeps going. So I'm going to add gravity to the projectile. I'm gonna add the same gravity for now. And I'm going to move that into a variable. I think it might be a bit. Oh, we'll see. Setting projectile, gravity, and this is AY. All right, so I think I'm gonna need to set this a tiny bit. Same as the little less than the player jump.
Well, that's VX. I think you want to do VY.
Oh, yeah, well, both, right?
Well, VX isn't affected by the gravity, so.
Yes, correct. Okay, let's see.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah.
Little RBX. Yeah, that's fine. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to bounce. So I think the two ways I can think of to have like a timed explosion is that I could set a lifespan on the projectile, or we could do it like after a certain number of bounces. I don't know if people have thoughts on.
What if it explodes every bounce?
Like,
So
anytime
Yeah, it's a chain explosion.
Sorry?
I feel like that would be a good power up, but the general case is to just have the explosion at the end, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wait, so what are you picturing though? Like a
Destroy on wall off.
off, yes. Like it gets smaller, or
Yeah. Oh, nice. You got little friends.
Like this.
those guys.
I feel
it
like the
sounds you were
lifespan is
describing
good.
the cluster one in Worms.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like just a lifespan would be good. And so, you know, it may bounce many times or not that many. I mean, that's how some timed devices that, are we not saying grenades for some reason?
Well, I guess we are now. So the reason it's being destroyed is because auto destroy is on, Shannon.
Oh, yes. But it shouldn't go off the screen though. These are still walls.
Well, it goes off the screen. It's auto destroy is based off the camera, not the tile map.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm gonna set auto destroyed off. All right. So now these guys. There we go.
I love it.
You should have this as the game instead.
Right?
They're accelerating.
Yeah.
I think that's a bug in the physics I've seen
Yeah.
before. Just haven't
I see.
fixed.
All right, so I'm gonna set a lifespan, and that will take care of our acceleration problem, hopefully. So, all right.
You could also do it so on collision with wall, you just like subtract from the magnitude of the velocity or something.
Yeah, you don't
Just
even need to do
multiply it by-
the proper thing. You could just subtract it from the VY.
Or you could just
Goes-
add a little bit to the gravity on it.
I think that would make it
That
worse.
would make it worse, yeah.
Um,
The issue is that when it hits the
Oh,
ground, it's
right,
applying
right.
a full frame's gravity or a full frame's acceleration, and then reversing the speed, so it gains a magnitude.
I see.
Yeah, it looks like each time it bounces, it's okay. So I'm just going to
So you know it hits it when
reduce
it's a
it by
positive.
like 0.9 or yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I did think about that.
Maybe a little. All right. What happened? Oh, geez. Yeah. So, sorry, I had that lifespan block in there for the next lifespan step, and it was set to 0. So they were, oh my God.
So you're using change instead of set. Did you mean set there?
You are correct.
This is great. I feel like we're discovering new mechanics we can use, though.
So what happened was I was changing the velocity by this amount, which was reducing it by a lot instead of this is AY, BY. Instead of just by, 0.8, like. Still add to V1.
Interesting. I wonder if it's triggering multiple times.
Oh, I think if you hit in the on hit walls, we have a special case to ignore it because people wanted that. So if you change the velocity in an on hit wall, it won't apply a future change to it.
Oh, it won't change the velocity. Yeah. Oh,
override the bounce behavior. Is that what it is?
Yeah, because people wanted that for like bouncing in one direction but not the other. That's true. I think that's what's happening.
All right. Well, so we don't really need to do this. We're just going to set the lifespan so that it disappears.
I think we just need a negative there, actually.
Ridiculous. Oh.
Right, because we should be able to just multiply it by -1. So times.
Oh, so you're saying
negative 0.09.
The problem.
So if you, instead of 0.9, if you change that to times -0.9, I think that might work. Because we're like, the issue is that it's not applying the reversal.
So we're doing bounce on wall then instead of.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Correct. So you can see it's bouncing slightly less with each time it hits a wall.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Is it but it's still changing, so it still does the bounce of the VX, just not the VY?
Yeah, so it looks like it's still increasing in VX maybe?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's no acceleration in the VX, so.
Yeah.
The increase will only happen if there's acceleration.
Cool. All right. So I guess I could reduce the VX by a little bit as well, just so it like slows down.
Yeah.
By the way, friction has just been added in beta, so.
Oh.
Right.
Well, this is gonna make it so the bounce on walls doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna leave the VX.
Sounds good.
And we'll set the lifespan to maybe 800 milliseconds for now. Let's watch.
I feel like, isn't it usually a few seconds, like 5?
5 seems really high, but maybe like 3?
All right.
I mean,
I'm gonna leave it for testing. I'm gonna do this for now, and we'll like bump it up. Sorry, Joey, what were you saying?
We can make it trigger when it hits an enemy too. So then it's either like 3 seconds or you hit an enemy, whatever occurs first.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah. Cool. So then I'm going to go into sprites and grab this on destroyed. And this will be our explosion sprite of kind projectile. And let's do some enemies also. I'm just going to have some falling for now, just so we have something on the screen. And we can maybe work on those mechanics later too. And I'll make these guys a little bit smaller. All right. X2. And I'll just do a random for in this like, and maybe also a random Y. Okay. Cool. Okay, so bunch of enemies. Now, when the projectile explodes, so I can think of two different ways. Let me know if you guys can think of a better one. One is I can replace it with a much bigger sprite and then use an overlaps code. That could be kind of weird with walls, but I could place it with ghost on and then turn ghost off. Or we could do some sort of distance thing to try and grab any enemy within like a radius of the projectile.
Just placing the much larger sprite should be enough because it will override the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be, I think that's the easiest way, probably.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to make a new kind.
How would it work if we did an animation, like an explosion animation? Is that going to work right with overlaps?
I don't think animations account for changing height properly or height and width properly, so it'll look wonky.
Will it
The X and Y will change.
Oh, I see.
Well,
So there's two ways to get around that. I think one is. Sorry, go ahead, Shannon.
No, go for it.
So one is, I think, what Shannon was saying before I interrupted her, which was just making it so it doesn't change size. I mean, I feel like with explosions, it's pretty common to just have it go and then kind of flash or something. The other option is you could do it with an explosion, but then also make the background the same color as the scene background and set the Z index to be below the projectile.
So it's just like for an effect, right? It doesn't actually do the. All right.
Ooh, are you not going to make it a circle?
What?
What are circles, Richard? I don't understand what you're saying.
All right, guys. I think we need to go back to making games with sprites at some point. All right.
Yes. I feel like 2 weeks of squares is maybe enough squares for a while, so we can.
Then we'll move on to triangles.
Maybe.
So just
a little bit.
Another idea for a way we could do an explosion. Not saying that's what we should do now, but we could also do like 360 degrees of little short-lived particles that explode out and then have their own overlaps. And that would work naturally with walls and stuff.
Like a starburst sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, geez.
Ooh, and each of those little ones could have a fire trail effect. That might crash the game.
There's a max number of particle effects. It shouldn't.
Okay.
It should get handled.
Could we make the explosion maybe a diamond made out of squares?
A diamond made out of squares.
Yeah.
I like the squares.
Okay. I'm fine being overruled.
What's a diamond made out of squares? What?
You just make like, a square and then it like goes up and then it goes right and it's made of, just a series of squares. Like imagine a circle over a grid and it would be the grid that is highlighted.
Okay, yeah.
Every square that is passed through.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do this for now, and then we can. It's like it looks like we might have time to spare, so do this. So I'm gonna say anytime the explosion overlaps with another sprite of kind enemy, I'm going to destroy the enemy. And the explosion will destroy itself because I set the lifespan. So, all right. And then the other thing is if the projectile hits an enemy, we want to immediately explode it. So I'm going to say one sprite of kind projectile overlaps other sprite of kind enemy. I'm going to destroy the projectile, and by destroying it, it will trigger this on destroy code. So that should also just feed into here.
And I feel like the in-narrative explanation for this is that they're so angry by getting hit by this projectile that they're just going to squish it. and cause it
Or they
to.
eat it.
Also a possibility.
That one is a little bit challenging to get right now. Oh.
Cool.
This is so cool.
So here's our explosion. Okay, so things I can think of to do next. We should probably have aiming, like different directions, and it would be cool to animate the explosion a little bit. And then we can also, in line with animating, we can do like maybe adjust the explosion shape or the style of it. It is a little sad that it's just a square right now, so it'd be cool to do,
I like
I
it.
don't know, the diamond or the different particles or something.
Quick idea about these enemies. What if they fell down with a little bit of gravity or velocity and then just started bouncing around the bottom like we saw that earlier effect? And if they run into you, you lose some lives.
Okay.
Just to make it like a challenging game.
Yes, okay. So I'm going to give these enemies also the same gravity, which is pretty high. So this might need adjusting. And I'll make them bounce. So they'll need some X probably.
Just give them a random one between 0 and 500. Should be fine.
500? And then when we create the enemies, which is also in this update, I'm going to give them a random X velocity. So
I feel like they should have a much gentler. What if instead of an acceleration, they just got a small Vy? Sort of like they're lightweight, you know? Like
Oh, I
they're at
see.
terminal
Yeah.
velocity.
Like moon physics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's try that. The gravity is high. So, all right. We're setting the Vx to a random number between -10 and 10, which is pretty low.
By the way, did you notice that the variable is named the explosion?
Oh, whoops. What happened? Oh, I renamed the enemy. Whoop. Not that.
So I guess leaving out the gravity was a bad idea. I didn't really think that they would be bouncing all over the place.
I'll give them a little bit of it was just 50 is not bad. I'll just do the same reduction code, but for the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So
That means I get some stuck on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's fine though. If they're stuck in the ceiling, they can't hurt you.
They're going to be hard to reach with your grenades though, because your grenades have a bias towards being down. I mean, your ambiguous lobbed thing. I think the gravity was good actually.
All right, let's put the gravity back for now, and we'll need to keep this so that they don't continue to accelerate. And AY to gravity.
You gave them a lower gravity.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we're back to this -10 to 10 for just a teeny bit of X, and then maybe let's multiply the gravity by 0.75. Still a lot.
they are getting the initial velocity. No, they aren't. Never mind. Misread.
And I'll do a little more of this.
I think this is great.
And eventually they'll settle down. So cool.
This looks pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, I haven't done the life code yet. We'll leave that for last. All right, so what now? Explosion mechanics?
Yeah, so there's I think the things we've discussed so far are one, making it destroy the tile map.
Oh, yeah.
And then also we could make it, what's the, animate.
Mm-hmm. Cool, okay. I'll do the animation first. So we could do, instead of animating, for your diamond of squares thing, we could do like separate projectiles with no gravity and only velocity in like a diamond shape that go out, or we could animate it. How do people feel about these options?
When I think of like the typical kind of thing we're emulating here, it's usually instant. But I'm not opposed to doing the firing the projectiles outwards. It does make it a little more tricky to reason about as the player.
All right, let's do an animation for now. So going into extensions, it's gone because I just added it, but the animation package adds a new category to the toolbox called animation. And you guys have seen us do this on stream before. So I'm going to drag out this animate my sprite with frames. And so our explosion right now is 40 by 40 big. All right. And and if I click down here, it turns on onion skinning, which shows you like the previous frame of the animation.
It's gonna work properly.
Collision-wise?
It's gonna change size, and I don't know if that's gonna mess with the walls.
I think it will. Well, we're not moving this, right? It's going to be same position.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
that'll be fine.
probably fine. Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, because the base image is the same, so the X and Y will stay the same. Yeah. That'll be fine.
That's very fast. So there's this little preview up here, which allows you to sort of view your animation in motion.
Looks like the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I have not watched 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's what the end looks like.
And we're going to have to increase the lifespan.
Oh, okay.
So maybe this is too slow. All right, so 2Z4. So this is 400.
I think with live site it might be 500.
Right, I haven't changed that yet.
Fixed in beta, but
cool. Yeah. Pretty satisfied with that. All right, so I forgot about the aiming mechanics, which I think are pretty important. So let's do that next. So what do you guys think? Sometimes games like this have like a continually rotating like direction, and then when you hit the button, it shoots in the direction that you're currently aiming in. Or we are using the arrow keys to move, so we would need some other input.
I like it. It's the Yoshi's Egg style of aiming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
The easiest ways to do it is usually in like Worms. They do it where it's a separate mode, but we can't really do that here.
Yeah.
Or don't want to, at least.
All right, so then I'm going to create a little like some kind of like direction sprite that will follow the player around and indicate what direction you're going to fire your projectile in.
I think you should make it the tile map kind of triangular shaped, and like go down to it has like a valley in the middle, and then it will just, while we're doing this testing, it'll just gradually turn into this bubbling mass of purple.
Sure, that'll be fast. And all right, so might have to change our position so that we don't immediately fall in to this. Oops. Cool. And then I missed the top part of this.
So much easier whenever we release again.
Oh. Cool. So, and then I'm going to very quickly place the player on the side, just so that we start in. Mm, 2 seconds. So down here, you can see the coordinates of the square that you're hovering over in this bottom corner. All right. New variable. Okay, so I'm also going to make this just a small teal or cyan square for now. And let's see. In a game update, I think I'm going to put this in a function. Well, maybe just for organizational purposes. And then we'll call this. So this will place the indicator where the player is, and then it will also like sort of rotate it back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Should we set the indicator as a ghost so it doesn't like smash into things?
Yes.
Behavior? Okay.
Let's do that. All right. So first I'm going to set it to exactly where the player is, and then we're gonna like move it out at sort of a radius.
I think we can basically use the orbit mechanics from the Monday stream, right? It just will use some sort of clamp.
Right, yeah, like a half. Yeah.
Or actually, I don't think it needs to be a clamp. It's just the delta y force it to always be positive. I think that'll work.
I have this indicator that follows the player around.
Is the orbital mechanics just cosine and sine?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so now I'm going to offset the x and the y by an amount. And that amount is going to be, so in the orbital mechanics, did we just use the game time or did we do a separate counter?
The game time multiplied by something,
Cool.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
You just do sine of the game time times something. Shouldn't that make it oscillate between negative and positive.
Yeah, and
Yes,
then
but I also need the x direction, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, so you use sine, and then you put that into the sine and cosine for the thing. So the sine will have it go from this
Oh.
angle to this angle, and then you'll use sine and cosine of that angle to actually position the sprite. Does that sort of make sense?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You need to have this thing going back and forth, and you could do it with a variable, but it's probably easier just to use sine, since that already goes between -1 and 1.
I think what Daryl is saying with just taking the absolute value of the
right,
y position should work too.
because
but either
it's
way.
like an orbit, except that instead of ever going below, you just go back up.
X is cosine.
I guess that also works, yeah.
They might actually be very similar.
All right, so times and start scaled by something.
So time since start is going to be thousands, and we need it to be on the order of like 6, so maybe 0.05.
So I had a separate angle variable, and I just plus equaled some delta to that over time, I guess, which is, yeah, effectively what this is.
Yeah. Okay. And I would need to scale this again. All right.
You want times, I think.
Yes. Times maybe like 5 is way too small. All right, guys, 16.
Dividing by too much.
This is incorrect.
Mhm.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Maybe
200.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're taking the cosine, so we're dividing time since start, which is in milliseconds. So every second there's, 1,000 by 200. And then we're taking the cosine of that, which converts it to a number between 0 and -1 and 1.
-1, yeah.
And then we're multiplying that by 14. So now we're rotating between -14 and 14, just back and forth. And let's also do to the y.
Yeah. Yeah, we should just be able to copy and paste and then add in the abs.
This is very long, but all right. Oh, geez, I grabbed the wrong thing.
Could do a variable for everything that's inside of the sine or cosine.
Well, it has to be a sine, so this inner part is different. All right. So here's a little orbit. It's very jittery, though.
It doesn't look jittery to me.
Like going around the top? All right. Well, it gets
smooth.
And then absolute value of the y. So that means we're only going to be
just the thing you're adding. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Oh, we probably want negative absolute value. Oh, this is gross. Oh, we can just do minus. That's
yeah, you can just do minus.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
You already have a minus.
You already have a plus, so you can just turn the plus into a minus.
Yes, you are right. All right. Let's put this guy back. And we will subtract. Okay, let's see. There we go.
Yeah, I love it.
And it follows the player around. Okay, so now we have to fire our projectile off in the direction of the indicator. So let me, oh man. All right, math.
So I got an idea, which is that you could just subtract the positions between the player and the indicator, and that gives you like a delta x and delta y. And then if you just multiply that by a little bit and make that the velocity, then that should
Yeah.
just work without any angles or anything.
We might have to
Yeah.
think about the acceleration though. We'll see when we get there.
Right. Well, we should just scale it by the same amount each time, right? All we need is really the direction. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need the angle.
So that it fires with the same X and Y. Okay, so let's
We should try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll need the angle.
All right, so what we're doing now is we're taking the difference between the position of the indicator and the position of the player. So we're sort of drawing a line between these two, and we're grabbing that X and that Y, and we're going to set the velocity of the projectile to that direction. So it's going to be, and I'm going to have to do this after I create the projectile. Where's my math block? All right. And this is going to be, I think, player minus indicator is the direction.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. And then I'm going to change the velocity of the projectile. So.
Oh, you could just move the projectile below the code you just wrote and do it inside.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I have the indicator. Cool. And then I'm going to do, for now, just a straight multiplication. All right, so this delta x, delta y is like the direction we want our projectile to go in. And I'm going to multiply by, what did we have?
10.
10, and then Vy was maybe 20.
Negative 20, right?
It should already be in the right.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. It should always be that case. Yeah.
This will change the angle it fires, is that right? Though? Because we're multiplying.
I don't think this is correct.
Right. So if you change that back to 10 on the Vy, it should fire in the right direction, I think. But we're misscaling. We're not firing at the same angle anymore if we're scaling.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, if we scale them differently.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe it does have to be negative. Maybe this should be flipped.
If you
And
tried
also maybe change this to projectile from the indicator. Yeah, okay, that's incorrect.
if you do a bigger multiple, it might be easier to see what's going on.
Maybe both of these? Maybe it is the opposite? Ooh.
I think
So
that's
this
a little
one,
too high.
yeah, so 50, it's going to be like, it's always 14 away. So on
It'll
the
be
order, 700 something.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think, so this looks all right direction-wise though.
I can't tell because it's like moving so fast.
There.
Yeah, looks right.
Yeah, that looks right.
Cool. So actually I need to, let's just do this. Okay, so let's see. how does this feel? Something about the firing is a little odd, but I don't know what exactly.
Could it just be that the indicator should move slower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The indicator is pretty fast.
I think you're right. All right, let's do that. So bump this up to 300. Yeah.
So you're doing, wait, don't you need to do that 300 in 2 places?
Oh, I did. Yes.
I see.
Sign of the cosine.
I would say even slower, but I don't know. Kind of depends the effect you're going for.
Hmm.
I would say right now you are right at Yoshi's Egg speed. And that was the most frustrating aspect of those games.
Too fast, or?
Oh yeah, it was too fast. So it was so hard to aim the eggs.
I see.
But if it goes too slow, you might get in a place where you're trapped, right? Right, where you're waiting for it to come back, and it's just going to take like a full second.
That's a good point.
I like the jump and fire. I think we can get up here.
Your mic got really quiet there for a second, Shannon.
Oh, I said I like the jump and fire mechanics. It's cool to fire off a bouncing projectile midair.
Quick idea. What if we added a particle trail to the projectile? I wonder if it'd be easier to follow. Because it's a little hard, at least from my side of the stream, to see.
Let me just fix this map slightly so that we can get to all of the pieces of it. I think that works. It's probably too high. All right. And then I'm going to do a particle effect. So we go into sprites. We have my sprite start, spray effect. And after we create our projectile, just trail.
Sure.
Oh, I like this.
It's fireworks.
I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Much easier to follow. And I can get over here.
It's like I'm watching a physics demo.
This is awesome. How does it feel to play?
Explosions. All right, cool. And the last thing is this enemy overlaps code. So we're going to start with just your standard number of lives, 3. And when the enemy overlaps with the player, we're going to destroy the enemy and take away a life. Cool. There we go. I'm going to change these platforms slightly. I don't like that the top one blocks me when I'm trying to jump up. All right.
That's really, yeah.
Sorry?
Saying it's very difficult to get to that, the other side of the gorge right now, I think.
Yeah.
Because if I saw that platform, I would try to go for it. And it's not really a jump you can make.
Yeah, I'll add a step. Here?
Sure.
The tricky thing is, I think the more platforms and stuff you have, the harder it is to actually use, you know, the
Yeah.
weapon.
I mean, you can spam them.
Right, we don't have any kind of delay or anything.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the best kind of game for this type of mechanic is one where you're primarily going down.
Mm-hmm. But you have to be able to get back up, right? Or
Well, could be a digging game.
that's true. So I think we're getting close on time. Just gonna put one in the middle here. Maybe here.
So a quick idea on a different throttling mechanic is maybe using ammo as like score or something. So like every enemy you gets you 1 ammo or 2 ammo or something, and you can only fire when you have ammo.
Yeah.
But we might
That's
not have time.
You would be
Yeah.
able to run out.
Maybe
then,
we'll
right?
call it for. Sorry.
You would be able to run out of ammo then. I guess it's good.
Yeah, I think you would maybe always have like. No, you're right. You can't always have 1. That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe over time, if you have none, you'll get 1.
Right, yeah. Some like time-based mechanic in addition to the enemies. I like that too because it incentivizes you to try and get like multiple enemies with 1 shot, which is the benefit of this kind of area. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys for joining us. And I'm Shannon. I'm at Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Daryl at Darzu on the MakeCode forums, but after this, we should name it.
Oh, yes.
I'm Joey at J1Roll on the forums.
I'm Richard everywhere.
I'm Vivian at Live Cheerful on the forum.
All right. Who's got a name?
Where's
Thanks,
rule?
guys.
It makes me think of fireworks.
How about lobby?
I like it.
Because you're lobbing it.
Is there an E in there or just lobby?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, just lobby.
Where would you put the E?
Yeah, right where the
Square
cursor
lobby.
is.
I think that would be lobby.
You are right. Yeah.
I like it. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Mhm.